Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another very special in-studio episode, which means we have an in-person guest, and I don't know why I'm using a weird voice, but we are joined today, obviously, by Thomas.
Like a carnival barker.
Come on! We are joined by Thomas today. How are you doing, Thomas?
I'm very happy.
Good. I'm excited to take your money with my carnival chance, and our very, very special guest, we have Aria. Boushehri. And I want to say Boushehri each time, but I won't.
He had to add it.
I had to do it. But who we are super excited to have today because we're going to be talking about something that honestly any business owner out here that is worried about their margins shrinking, the outlook and the forecast economically, and thinking, what am I going to do? Well, we have the answer, and you just have to strap in and listen because you're going to find out. But before that, because you're an in guest here, and first, I hope you're enjoying Boise.
I love it here.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love it. We'll talk a little bit more about Boise later, but anytime we have an in-person guest, we want to make sure we have a drink that is fit for you. So because not only you're handsome, bold, but very, very smooth, we thought a beautiful pour-over coffee from Flying M, which is a local coffee house here, would be what we'd start the day with. So let's get a nice pour in.
Oh, boy.
You can't hear this because I'm off mic.
We're professionals, yeah.
Whoa.
Should I get those? Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
You got to put a little flair in your pour.
You want to show the picture?
All right. Yeah, we got to see the baked potato with the Idaho butter.
With the Idaho butter?
Yep.
Oh, that's fancy.
I thought it was an egg, but
Oh, I got another little treat, too. I was surprised you with. I brought some Zolly Pops.
yes!
Yeah.
I
You get a
love
Zolly Pop,
Zolly
Kyle?
Pops. You know what
No,
those
I don't
are?
know what Zolly
Yeah,
Pops are.
You get a pick since you went.
What is a Zolly Pop? Well, he is selecting.
So a Zolly Pop is a lollipop made from xylitol, so there's no sugar.
This is not a sponsored
Pink or yellow.
ad here.
Pink or yellow? What would be your choice? I don't. What's pink flavored? Is it watermelon, strawberry?
Probably something like that, yeah. I think it's pink.
Cotton candy.
I'll go
maybe?
lemon. I mean, sorry, yellow.
So, yeah, we go back with Zolly Pops.
Yeah,
so,
we do.
There's a story here.
Yeah.
Can I get a Zolly tap?
Oh, yeah.
Zolly tap?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was definitely fantastic and distracting. But
Yeah. Now everyone can complain on the podcast comments and YouTube comments that we're taking too long to get to that.
So now I'd like to tell you guys about my day. No, just kidding. Well, anyway, guys, so obviously I hope you enjoy the coffee as we enjoy spending time with you. And everyone else, please take a sip or whatever you might have, and let's jump into it. So, all right, before we kind of get started, really what we're going to be talking about today is the power of really welcome calls and what in-human interaction could do, or kind of personal human interaction could do to a business, and what you're really doing to help a lot of entrepreneurs in our space and out of it make a lot more bottom line dollars in their business, and especially doing it within the first month of acquisition, if not sooner. So pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, first day. So so super exciting. I think something we're really, really excited to delve into. But before we jump into that, I'd love to kind of have the people hear a little bit how you got here, not how you flew to Boise, but in general, in your business, in your life today. Tell us a little about the journey.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, by the way, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're really
Thanks for
happy to
being
be
here.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised. I moved to Austin about 10 years ago now. And when I was moving to Austin, I was super young, and I was looking for just a job, like to make money. I didn't go to college, so left the house, left my comfort level, left things that I know. And then I was going to Austin, and I started working at a company, which was a big marketing company, big direct response company at the time. Six Pack Shortcuts. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
think
doing
actually
it-
our last in person was with Chris and Carnacion.
So we're doing the rounds with.
Yeah, yeah.
We had Robbie Amaro on too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should just get all the ex-employees.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
when
Daniel Rose, you're next. We're watching out for you.
And yeah, when I was there, I started as sales, like just a sales agent, super young, and I was really good at it. And I learned how to communicate over the phone. And it was something that I didn't think that I would have enjoyed. Even though before that I did sales at, LA Fitness and stuff, but that's different, it's in person. But I didn't know how over the phone would have been. And then when I started there, I was really good at it. And I was breaking records, especially at my age, like, and that company was around for a bit. So I was breaking records, and then moved up to trainer. So I had like a team, and then from trainer to manager. And then I was helping manage a lot of the new business at the time, which was really exciting for me. there were a lot of things that I learned there, a lot of things they were doing right, a lot of things that they were doing wrong. And due to a lot of reasons, I left. And between the time that I left Six Pack and the time that I started Salesbound, I helped 2 call centers just start from the ground up. Basically, operations, training, hiring, managing, growing, selling, like all of that 2 times between when I left Six Pack to when I started Salesbound. And then both times it was great. You know, I learned a lot. I learned what to do. I learned what not to do, right? Like you learn, you know, from reading and all that, but you really learn from doing. So that was the biggest thing for me. Like, okay, I learned a lot from Six Pack, from the sales team there, and then I applied it to the next call center. Okay, we were growing it, we were scaling it, we were hiring, yada, yada. And then I left there due to, you know, ownership and all that stuff there. Left and then did the same thing all over again. Started it, scaled it, grew it, and it was really fun. Learned a lot, again. Learned a lot, learned what to do, what not to do. Left, and then that's where Salesbound came. So Salesbound's kind of like a fine-tuned version of like all the mistakes and all the things that I've learned along the way. And that's why we're here.
Ah. Nice. And is Salesbound like your first venture into being a founder, quote unquote?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, when I was younger, I had a lot of projects and stuff I was working on. Yeah. But this is the first serious venture. Like I was partners in the last companies, but I wasn't like the founder.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I had a couple ventures when I was like 16, 17 with my brother because he's older and he's also in business and he like taught me a lot. So he also like helped me with some project. Yeah. But this is the first major one that's worked.
Yeah. That's working very well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I love that too. The journey, as you describe it, it's a lot of, hey man, I need a job, like, and I'll figure something out. But once you realize not only do you have the efficacy, but the vision to say that it could be more, there could be more. Let me go create more as you learn those opportunities. I also like that. I think a lot of times people think you could only learn independently, right? Like you got to jump in and I'm just going to go from being a bus driver to an online marketer. And I'm just jump right into it. Quit my bus driving job. I don't know why I went bus driving, but anyway, I love that you're building through experience over that time before you got that. I think that's a really awesome thing. And I see a lot of people succeed incredibly well, not even just in our industry, but in large businesses. You know, you got to learn, you got to work through those mistakes and continue to learn the new ways and other better ways to do things. So super exciting. And yes, like Thomas said, it's going pretty well. So let's jump into what's going really well. I think one of the big things that just to kind of frame it out for everybody, we've seen right now in the industry, I think we've all seen that things are getting a little bit tighter. Traffic's getting more expensive. Conversions are a little bit harder to get by. We're starting to see some numbers go down, not only just seasonality, but in general. We've kind of had the same marketing tactics now for a couple of years.
Emails been getting beat up. Yeah.
Emails getting beat up. You know, a lot of the tier 1 social networks are kind of starting to focus on some compliance things. It's getting more challenging. And so when we see things get challenging, you know, the beads of sweat start to appear on a lot of entrepreneurs' faces, but not people that are working with you. So I'd love for you to just talk a little about what you're doing and how you're working with some of these companies in Salesbound to kind of alleviate and bring up their bottom line. So some of the concerns that people are feeling right now aren't nearly as drastic for people that you're working with.
Yeah. So with Salesbound, basically right now, if you picture what you're doing with an offer, like let's say we're all offer owners. Every day we get traffic. Like every day we get customers, right? We get a couple hundred customers a day. They're flowing in. It's great. You know, we monetize them on the back end using email, different methods, etc., and it's going great. Now, what if you can add something to that where you don't have to necessarily do any changes to your leads? You don't have to do any changes to what you're already doing. You just basically plug it into your current business model, and you're able to make more money on the back end. That's what we do with phone sales and welcome calls, primarily. Basically, how we do it is your customers are already coming in every single day from all these traffic sources. You're getting a good amount of customers, whether you're starting out or you're experienced. And what we do at Salesbound is we call those customers right when they come in. First day, first couple hours, and we attach the human experience to the buying cycle and confirm their online order over the phone, and then pitch them other products and services that your brand or the brand that we're working with offers over the phone, resulting in a sale, but also resulting in a better brand reputation to that consumer. Okay. Because if you're calling the customer with the right tonality and with the right pitch and with the right scripts, and the right agents, all of that, then the person over the phone is going to love it. Mm-hmm. Majority of the time, they're going to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, this is Aria with Thomas's Greens. How are you?" "Oh, wow, so good to hear from you." Like they get so excited. So that's basically what we do is we monetize the customers that are coming in, and we call them, upsell them over the phone, but also tie in like a value adding process to be able to increase the brand reputation and tie in the human cycle to that sale.
No, that's awesome. I feel like there's so many benefits to that. And one, you mentioned too, like most people are monetizing primarily through maybe some retargeting ads, but primarily email, right? But a great open rate's 25 to maybe 30% that even see that email, and your click-through rate might be, what, 7%? If that's like, and we're talking like post-click, open to click, right? Not like in general. That's a really small percentage that actually monetizes. Which makes me kind of wonder, like, what's the pickup rate of people that you dial? Like, how often do you get somebody when you call them?
I would say from 100 people, 100 customers, about 50% will pick up.
Oh, wow.
Day one, yeah.
And because that sounds, I don't know phone sales that well, but that sounds high.
Yeah. That sounds good. Sounds really good. Yeah.
Is that high because you're calling customers, not just quote unquote leads?
Yes and no. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of factors that come into play. I think calling the customers does make a difference. Mm-hmm. We also do abandoned carts as well and partials, and customer pickups are higher. However, we partner with carriers too. Mm-hmm. So we partner with like Verizon and T-Mobile and all these carriers to make sure that, our numbers don't come up as scam likely.
Oh, gotcha.
Spam.
Yeah.
Like those little things really matter
Yeah.
for the pickup rates.
Is the customer expecting a call at all? Or is it kind of like I place an order and then my phone rings? Or like how does that work from like the customer's perspective when they go through the flow?
It could be both.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be both. But what we found is when the customer is not expecting a call, they're more likely to pick up.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Knowing me, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I also think what might be interesting too is I imagine that the age demographics too are a little bit different, right? Like I feel like if you're trying to contact a Gen Zer through a phone call, good luck. There's no way they.
No, Aria never picks up.
Okay. All right.
Versus if you're getting 45 plus into those demographics, particularly if you go into the latter half of that. Some people that are over the age of 65 are happy that anyone's calling them. So, I think you get that pickup, but I really love that it's a confirmation of the order. That seems really changed. In fact, one question I kind of thought of when you mentioned that is, do you see a difference in quality rates when you guys start doing these welcome calls? Imagine if somebody calls, confirms your order, the legitimacy of your brand and business has to elevate.
Right.
I order something from Amazon. They don't call me. No one talks to me at Amazon, Walmart, none of that stuff, right? Even large brands that I've ordered through, I'm not getting a phone call. So already it feels an elevated experience. At least that's what I would assume.
Yeah, it's more of a concierge experience. If you're able to call them and not make it super salesy and not be aggressive and not have that boiler room, Wolf of Wall Street type of phone mentality, if you're able to call a customer and actually care for them, and actually create a concierge personalized package for them over the phone in a very nice manner. And if they don't want to buy, don't push them too hard, then that's when the customers are like, okay, I'm happy. This is a great experience. Basically, we like to say it's a value adding process, whether they're buying or they're not.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit, because I'm curious the customer's gone through, right? They've bought the initial product, they've hit pay on the order form. They've gone through the upsell flows, either accepting or declining, things like that. I can imagine someone listening to this, or even myself, is like they're thinking, they've already completed a full purchase. So when they get a call from you, like what are you like? I guess I'm a little lost on what is like the natural upsell or cross sell that's happening to someone who's kind of like finished that buying process right before you chat with them, almost like that same day.
Yeah. So it's a good question. Basically, what we found is if they take all the upsells, the higher their front end AOV is, the higher their phone AOV is. Like the higher the phone sale is.
Interesting. So they've almost qualified themselves as a big
They're
spender.
qualified
right?
as like a big spender,
Mm-hmm.
right? And basically, what we sell them is you can add SKUs on the back end. Basically, if you're an offer owner and you have, let's say, 2 SKUs on the front end, like 2 supplements or 2 programs or 2 offers, whatever it is, and your customer takes all these upsells, then what are you going to sell them when you call them?
Yeah.
Right? Sell them more of the same. Sure, that works. You could do that, but generally they don't need more of the same. So what we found that works very well is when we create, or when the client, or with our help, like we create some supplements on the back end or offers on the back end that we're only going to offer to the customers on the phone, and they're not going to see it on the websites.
Gotcha,
So then we're able to create different tickets with like 2 other supplements that they didn't see online, and more programs. And
you don't need to
like
share
that.
like specific names or anything, but do you have an example of like type of supplements that this would work with? Like, let's say I have a weight loss product or something like that, like supplement B, weight loss product I'm selling. Like, what would be the natural cross sells on the phone that would do well with that?
Weight loss is a good example. I think weight loss, you could go the route of, if they're buying weight loss on the front end, you could do like a greens supplement on the back end over the phone, because greens is going to help
Cover
with
nutrition more. Right?
nutrition, cover detoxification, stuff like that. You can also add a probiotic in there, so like a gut supplement to help with your gut health. And that's more of a probiotic and a prebiotic. So then that could be 2 supplements. Right?
Yeah, I like that, because I see a lot of clients try to do that in the upsell flows themselves, and they start to try to do these bundles and stuff. And I never see them. I don't want to say never, because someone's always going to correct me, but I rarely see them convert that well in the upsell flow. It seems like the upsell is good for like more of the same, but then like you're saying, the phone sales might be the place to really plug in the full package.
Well, I think it makes sense when you really kind of start breaking it down, because one of the issues in what you're describing, probiotics, greens, protein powders, things like that, these are commoditized supplements where, I could go to GNC, Walmart. I'm pretty sure I could get protein powder at a gas station. That's how it feels like it's everywhere at times, right? But when someone calls you, build trust, they create a personalized experience, and now you're talking to somebody over the phone. Commoditized items increase in value substantially, because you need them. You're probably agnostic to your choice, but someone's telling you that your choice should be different versus a sales page where I have to read, I've already made some purchase, a front-end supplement that has to sound unique and compelling and really draw me in a way I've never heard about it before. It's just different levers that we're pulling. And so I really love that. And the great thing about it too is with, partnering with people like Ship Offers or other print-on-demand supplement products. There you go. Ooh, look at that. That's some nice product placement. Partner placement. That's what we'll call it. You could quickly and dynamically get a label up, and you don't have a sales page. You don't have to have some big marketing angle. That's going to come through the phone sales, which will come from the individual. And I'd imagine too, as you guys start doing that, you might find that you might be able to uncover a new product in there. You see an angle that's working from the conversations to go, well, I never thought about selling a green powder this way or whatever this way. But it just seems so fast to scale. And it's kind of, I've talked with e-com companies before, and that's kind of you need to have your flagship product that brings them in. And after that, all you're doing is building trust. So the stuff that they could buy anywhere, they buy from you.
Right.
And so it really makes a lot of sense on phone sales. That really tracks pretty interestingly.
Yeah. I do want to say the Ship Offers partnership that we have with them now has really helped us do that, because a lot of these offers that come to us and have one supplement or one offer or 2,
they've got their thing that works.
Yeah,
right?
like we're like, okay, cool. Like let's custom, or let's white label some supplements that we know are going to do pretty well with this type of customer demographic.
They can test a lot faster, right?
Yeah, we could test a lot faster, be up and running in a week. And now we have 3, 4, 5, 6 more supplements to be able to sell over the phone on the back end. So
yeah, I really like that approach because then, especially for a back end offer, you can test quickly, and then if you're finding like, okay, this is really working, then go custom if you need to, right? But you don't have to go spend 6 months or a year in development for something that might work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is even if you don't want to go custom formulation, like it's just right there. You don't have to worry about inventory, anything, right? So if you get a big run or you want to switch a product because we know what's happening right now, it's back to school, which seems to be back to disease season, right? Well, I guess we just timed it. So I guess we're gonna have to drop this episode like next week now. but like, so it's a great time. Maybe in the summer I'm doing more proteins and greens. But now, as we get closer to the winter months, the sniffle months, like that's a great time for maybe an immune boosting product, but like turmeric or something like that. But I don't want to maintain that inventory all year round. So you could just switch in and out seasonally based on your offer changes. It's just so much flexibility.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the value's in the conversation, not necessarily has to be in the product, which is different than what you have to do on the front end for acquisition.
Yeah.
I have to build a ton of value and intrigue to get them to buy. But now I get to have a person that just builds the trust and then could sell in a much more personalized way. I think that's just really, really impressive. So I kind of leading into that, like I'd love to kind of hear what are some of the, if you could share some of the examples in terms of, and you don't have to names, but like the revenue differences. What are some of the impacts that you're making to these businesses?
Yeah, it's into the economics a little bit. Yeah.
I guess the question's kind of broad, but it's more just over the phone, especially if you're doing welcome calls, the more customers you have, right? I mean, this is sales 101, right? The more opportunities you have, the more at bat basically you have, then the more sales you can make. Now, there are quality differences, right? Like maybe an offer gets 200 customers a day, but the quality is different based off like maybe the type of traffic or what they're buying on the front end, right? Is it or how is the VSL framed? How's the ad framed? Like there's a lot of things that go behind it that kind of tee up who the customer is on the phone. Because you could have an offer that has 200 customers or orders a day compared to one that has 800 or 1,000, and maybe the 200 might be better. Now, in regards to economics, I mean, like what we're doing over the phone or...
Yeah, I guess what a way to think about it, I'll ask a better question that way. So I'm a business owner right now, and I bring Salesbound on. Is there, like, if you had to, you could just share like a story of maybe some, what did that do to businesses from their bottom line perspective? What did it do? What are some examples of like Salesbound comes in, they start doing welcome calls. What's the change in their P&L to their business? What's making them cheer and dance?
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, the way Salesbound's modeled is we're all performance based. So a client doesn't, like, if we don't sell, no one makes money, right? And when it comes to what we can expect, if someone's getting around a $200, $300 AOV on the front end, or maybe 150, like whatever, let's just say 200 to round it up, you're able to increase it by 50 to 100, maybe even 200%. Depending on the quality and all that stuff. But let's just say you could increase your AOV day one by around 50%
And is that
using the welcome calls.
So is that AOV for all customers or AOV for the phone customers coming through? That makes sense. Is that like for the ones you're chatting with, that's what the AOV ends up being? Or is that like divided across all the customers that are coming
We
through?
kind of do the math dividing across all. Yeah.
So you're talking at a minimum, if I have a $200 AOV, I'm looking at a $300 AOV after talking to Salesbound.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on the low end. That's fantastic, right? When you think about that,
It's not bad. Yeah.
Not bad, right?
It's pretty damn
So, but I mean, imagine like today, and like anybody in your business, like if you could just get a 50% AOV boost, what that would change what you could do with traffic, with paying affiliates, or just building cash reserves sometimes, investing back in your business.
Well, your performance based, right? So if it's a 50, let's say it's 50% up to $300 AOV, is your sales team getting commission off of that, or is that after commission? Does that make sense?
That would be after.
That's after.
Yeah,
commission.
that's after.
Oh my gosh,
wow.
that's a
We
net
kind of do our calculations. So, for example, if you get 1,000 customers a day, we'll get like 50 or 500 of them over the phone. And out of those 500, I would say 200 to 250 of them are going to buy.
Okay.
Man, so you're
From
closing at about a 40 to 50% rate.
From the people who get on the phone.
That's good. That's
So let's
pretty
just
good.
say 200. And then if your AOV is, $200, if you're able to get the 200 people on an order of, let's say, $100 AOV.
Essentially, we're seeing a large net profit lift, right? So if we
Right.
kind of, I think a good way for people to think about this is if it's going to be net of commissions, like afterwards, in terms of thinking about this AOV, by plugging in sales bound, right, and getting welcome calls, which will increase. I imagine. Here's the other things: like it probably increases brand continuity, trust. I'd love to see. I don't know if this has been done. I bet you're going to see a reduction in return. So just your normal traffic, your net profitability goes up, right? Everything is getting better. Now, on top of that, because of the sales component, you're saying on the low end, you're going to get a 50% increase on your AOV. That is a net increase. So after commissions, after everything that goes with sales bound, just knowing it's a segment of that audience, they are so profitable when they get on the phone that you're able to still see if it was a 200 AOV, already you're looking at 300. That's net profit your business.
You
That's
almost
basically
recoup the
saying
affiliates made, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's saying you're about to
make
make an extra $100 on every single customer that you get to keep. Bottom line, well, before the government gets a hold of it, but for that time period, it's yours. Deciding what to do with it. I think that's when. So when we talk about the economics of right now, right, things are getting harder, they're getting tighter. When you could extract 50% more out of the customers you're getting, that is pretty exciting. That is really, really exciting. And it sounds like it could go even more. So when you see the 50% on the AOV versus some that are getting the 100 to 200% lifts on that increase, is that something that changes over time as you guys kind of work, maybe tailor scripts for certain clients? Like, where do you kind of see that difference? And again, I know there's so many factors that can go into that. Like you said, like if I have a very colder audience and maybe lower quality traffic, might be tougher and versus a very dedicated audience or type of product. But so outside those factors, do you find that over time that number tends to increase when you work with a client over a period?
For sure. Yeah. At SalesBound, we have tiers, basically. Like when someone comes to work with us, and I think it's like this with anyone doing phone sales. Like I think this is how it should be, which is you're going to grow over time. Like you're going to figure it out over time. It's all human component, right? Like the people on the phone, like my team that's calling, right? Like they're learning more about the customer. They're learning more about the pitch, how to pitch, which customers are better, which customers are not. There's a lot of components that go into it. So we have like a tiered system where normally the first 90 days is what we call a testing period, where we test the brands. Because some of the time the brands that we bring on don't convert the way that we want it to over the phone, right? Like there's some brands that just don't. And
like I said, and you're on performance, so if it's not working, it's really not working for anybody. So
right, like, exactly. No one loses money though, but it's more just around we're testing it. We want to make sure it works for both of us. But then after that time frame, we move into what we call a scaling period, which scaling is around a 6-month time frame where we start scaling, like where we start hiring more people, dialing it up. We have the scripts made. We got the process created. We know which leads are good, which leads are not. If they bought 12 bottles on the front end, are they good? Or if they bought 1 bottle on the front end, are they better? There's like a fine line, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, after that, it's just consistent maintenance of scale long term.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our time frame of doing it. And I think it's like that where, our AOV is going to increase over time of what we can give our customer or what we can give our clients, which is in the beginning, we're just starting out, right? We're going to try to call. Some days we might have, smaller days, and other days and weeks we might have huge days and weeks because we're testing.
Yeah.
And then after that, when we're really starting to figure it out, then we're going to increase over time.
Yeah.
And that's where the numbers really start to change.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. It's good to see that process. It's realistic, right? Realistic expectations. Right. So now I'm super curious because as someone that, like, I'll be honest, like, I've always loved selling on the phone. Like, I used to work in call centers before when I was going through school, and I think it's, like, one of the funnest places to sell because there's just so many people. They just keep coming. It's like, I said some crazy stuff to sell things on the phone. It was really fun. But kind of going back, I'm really curious about kind of, you mentioned before, it's got to be so hard to find that balance between conversion, but not being, like you said, the boiler room where you're just really putting too much pressure on. So without sharing your secrets, I don't need you to unveil everything, but can you kind of talk us through a little bit about...
I want you to unveil everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really curious about just kind of like, what does it look like? How are you training the reps? How does the call sound? I want to kind of break down that first hello.
Yeah. So basically there's a lot of things around that. I think for us, the first step is quality control. Mm-hmm. Like we want to make sure that before anyone gets on the phone, they sound good, they have good energy, they're a great culture fit, and they have enough product knowledge. So like they know what they're talking about. Right now, I mean, everyone's in Austin, our team. So our team's entirely in Austin.
Oh, so you're not doing nearshore,
no,
offshore?
No nearshore, no offshore. Everyone's
Nice.
in Austin, Texas.
Domestic reps. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a good amount of people, and a lot of them are in the office. And in the office, or even in Austin, like even if they're remote and they come into the office a couple times a week just for meetings and stuff, we're able to basically, I don't like the word control, but we're able to cultivate a good environment of care, of making sure you're doing, the good things on the phone calls, making sure you're not doing what you're not supposed to be doing on the phone calls, stuff like that. So we're able to, they're stepping into this culture. Mm-hmm. This is our culture, this is how we interact with these customers on the phone. We're caring, we're nice to them, we want to add value. The client that's trusting us with their leads, to call their leads, like we want to make sure that their customers are having a great experience, and we're also making money at the same time.
Yeah. Because you guys you become the voice of the brand.
We're the voice of the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine a brand would be somewhat hesitant to trust a third party with their day zero customers, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, because I'm curious, because your agents are commission based, right? They're on performance too.
Well, it's commission and like base and stuff.
Oh, because they have some base.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there, I guess, friction that do you find that some agents just want to sell more aggressively than because they want to make more money, right?
Yeah.
Then you need them to kind of fall into those guidelines. Like, where's that balance of conversion and quality and trust? Like, how does all that gel?
That's a great question. And the way we've had it, we have it basically made is it's a no BS policy at Salesbound. Like if you go and everyone knows this, like most of the people at the company have been with us for a long time now, except for, a lot of people that we've been hiring new. But if anyone steps out of line and is too aggressive to a customer, too pushy, is saying things they're not supposed to be saying, we have an AI that listens to quality assurance to every single phone call. And what it's listening for is like, claimed, what not to say, what you should be saying, what you shouldn't be saying. If you say something that we programmed this AI we programmed it for an agent saying, you need this. You don't need this, right? We don't say that, right? So that's an example. So right. if someone says that, it'll flag it. Yeah, I'll be like, hey, check this out. And then my compliance and quality assurance team goes and listens and then actually dissects the call. And what I found was having a no BS policy of like, hey, if you do get out of line with this is not how we are. We want to put the brand first, and we also want to make the sale and have that balance. But if you do go over, then there are warnings and stuff, but we don't tolerate that. Like we don't let that fly, basically, in the company. Yeah.
Well, thanks for diving into
which
that.
Which has helped us with anyone else coming on and everyone that's been with us not do that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And also who we hire. Like the people we hire are great people. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone in Austin.
I thought no one wanted to work these days. So
no, we find I love the Salesbound team. Like it's an amazing team, and everyone's so high energy. It's a younger team, and everyone loves what they do. They love making the sales, and they love talking to the customers on the phone. When we get testimonials, they get super excited. Like, our team loves what they do. And whenever someone comes and they do have that aggressive nature, they actually don't work for us for that long. Because since we are a lot of it's in office, that vibe, that energy, that culture fit really matters, especially in the call center space.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's
man.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would feel it. Like when you're in a place where you know it's the aggressive mentality. One, they're way less fun normally.
For sure.
But two, yeah, it is like you could feel it. And if you didn't fit in that environment, if it was the opposite, one, you probably wouldn't be very good at it because you only know the aggressive way to sell. And yeah, you just wouldn't fit in. So I think that's really amazing, especially AI going from like, and it's been a while since it's been in call centers, but knowing the percentage of calls that get observed at the largest call centers versus what you're describing
minimal,
is essentially 100% coverage of things that brands don't want. So I think going back to your question, like for any listeners here that are, you know, thinking, I don't know about this, would I really want to trust people? Because we've heard the horror stories. We've seen the horror stories of what phone sales could do to a brand. Knowing that sales bound, working with you, you get it. You're taking care into it. And in fact, you have really great tools to stop that from ever becoming an issue is pretty impressive.
And a follow-up to that is like, where is the overlap? Because you're a sales company, right, generating revenue and all that. Where's the overlap with you, though, with customer service? Because I have to imagine if someone gets a call from your agent, they buy, and they have this trust that's built, are they coming back to that agent for customer support? Are they coming back to your phone channels for customer support? Are they going back to the seller side? Like, how does that relationship
So we have
work?
a customer service team in-house for, because if I call you, for example, you're going to have my phone number. And you can call that number back anytime. So we have a customer service team that handles those calls. Not for a client to come work with us, but more for the people who call back in. They can talk to the agent at any time if they have questions. Whenever it gets to the customer service team, they're like, hey, Thomas, you know, your client just called in and they have a couple questions. I'm going to transfer it over to you. Okay, great, cool. So we do that. We also have a great relationship with the customer service teams. So whenever we...
So on your client's side, their customer service teams?
Right, which has helped us because if, you know, a customer calls into their customer service team, they communicate it to us, and then we have a good process there too.
For handling those tickets and stuff that comes through.
Tickets,
Is it Sweetwater? Is that the audio kind of company? If you've ever ordered from Sweetwater, that's been my best experience with like a phone kind of support sales kind of thing.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, right. If anyone's buying a microphone or any kind of audio visual equipment, I'd suggest going through Sweetwater just to experience like their, I don't even know what to call it, concierge service kind of thing. Like you place it, you get an agent, it comes up with Sweetwater on the phone. It's, hey, it's Brian, whatever, I'm your dedicated rep. Like, what looks like you're buying this? What's it for? They're getting to know you. And it's a very just organic, helpful call kind of thing. And they follow up with emails, right, on a regular basis. And like, how are things going?
And
your
then you
warranty's
buy.
about to expire. Do you need any help, right? It's like,
Right.
Well, I think what's super interesting about what you're describing too and what you're doing is we know, I think it's pretty easy to see that through AI, you're going to see a lot of people create a poor version of what you're describing, right? AI is going to like, oh, I have some sort of human, but then it's like, it just only goes so far, right? And then it's not human. It's not going to be as tailored, especially the voice. And so I think doing it the right way and doing it now where it's personalized, like what Thomas is talking about, what you guys are doing, man, it makes such a massive difference. So going into, and this is totally the call center guy in me that's like, man, getting excited. But when you look at your scripts, like the flow, because I think one of the things is like, how do you go from that transition of like, hey, it's, you know, Kyle here. I'm here to confirm your order for Thomas's green juice or whatever we call it again.
Thanks for outing.
Thomas's morning greens.
For
Because we know that you're ready to be happy scaling today. So you go from that, confirming the order, hey, you ordered this much stuff. Is it something where you just leave the question, hey, well, we're getting everything confirmed for you. Tell me a little about what God you should have purchased today. Like, I'm curious how you kind of go and start transitioning it into the recommendations.
You want to come work at Salesman?
Well, maybe it might be kind of fun on weekends. So I'll tell you some of the stuff I said in the back, and then we'll see if I'm going to be on the right spectrum because I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm really curious how that transitions over, what that looks like.
It's just like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
All right, bye guys.
It's not honestly, it's not complicated. Our sale, like it's just you get on the phone and you confirm their order, say who you're with, And then you go into more of like a discovery of, okay, well, what brought you to us? Like, why did you buy? Like, how long have you been dealing with
XYZ.
X, Y, and Z, right? And then you go through discovery, and then after discovery, you're able to pitch and bring up the other products that that brand or offer has, and then tie it into solutions that they brought up during discovery, and then
Close it.
you close it.
Ka-ching. That's what you do.
Are you processing this on the client's mids, on your mids? Like, how does that money flow work
Yeah, we do it on our mids.
on your mids? And
Yeah.
then how does that look to the client? Are you sending them like how does it count towards the client's revenue? Is that just counts? Are they getting that on like a weekly, monthly settlement?
It's all different
Yeah.
per client, but we send it to the client.
Wired over
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing?
wired, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially give them a nice check. Hey, here you go. Pew.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which has to be some of their clients' favorite day. I'm sure like, all right.
Yeah, some of our clients are like, you are our secret weapon.
Yeah.
And-
Well, we know customer acquisition costs have only
'Cause-
gone increasingly higher. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
so,
if you recoup.
but yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah. Well, and again, I would agree. Like secret weapon. As I look at the camera, secret weapon, right? So, yes, making a big difference. You make a big difference. So, look at your bad. That's another question, Thomas. Sorry, I railed
Well,
over you
like
there.
you've mentioned a few different examples of like daily sales calls coming in and things like that. Like, is there, if someone's listening to this, like, what's like a threshold where they should really be considering phone sales? Or let me ask it a different way: is there like a sales volume that's like too low to really start? Maybe not with you specifically, just in general, or like, there's probably more to focus on than phone sales until you get to a certain point. Then plug that in.
It's a good question. I recommend everyone that has an offer, call your abandoned carts. I'm looking at the cameras. Call your abandoned carts and call your card declines, because you don't necessarily want until you get to scale, right? But those are pretty easy sales to do. I mean, if they're on the site,
conversion lift on that. Yeah.
yeah, you can have someone locally, like wherever you live, you can have someone locally or hire someone for, a base salary and some commission or whatever works for your business model. Basically have them call your 20 abandoned carts a day or whatever it is. Like we're just saying, like just starting out, like your 20 a day. And, you just say, hey, you're on the website trying to purchase the Zolly Pops.
Yeah.
And it didn't go through. Like, let me get that. Let me send out 1 or 3 or 6, whatever you want. Same with card declines. Same pitch, right? It's like, hey, you're trying to buy some Zolly Pops or Thomas's Greens.
Actually, it's a Mars script.
It didn't go through. Yeah. There you go.
Pops is like,
That's why we ended up with yellow. That's why.
Yeah. So the abandoned carts and the card declines, you could start whenever. Honestly, like if you have leads coming in, you could even do it yourself, right? Like if you really want that extra revenue, that extra bump, like you can call them yourself. If you have the phone numbers. Then the customers, the thing with customers is the volume. So if you have 10 customers coming in a day, you should be calling them, because why not? Like ask yourself the question, like when was
feedback too on why you bought.
Right. Like when was the last time you called your customers? You could get great feedback. You can maybe make a sale, and it's a great buying experience if you're doing it nicely and caringly.
The well of UGC, right? That's where you can go user-generated content and stuff too, I imagine.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then once you get to scale of like 50 customers a day or so, I think that 50 mark is where you should really start considering, okay, we're consistently getting 50 to 100 a day. Let's really start thinking about implementing our own phone team or salesbound or whatever into our system to be able to help with customer acquisition costs, make more money, get more leads, because it's all connected, right? You have your front end, your back end. If you're able to make a lot more money using the phones, a lot of the time that profit you can use profit,
back into
right?
customer
Like just
acquisition,
put a lot of it back into customers, and then you get more leads on the front end.
Yeah.
But then you have more leads on the back.
Yeah,
and
I've
it's
chatted
like
with some people
cycle.
right now. They're like in that like 20 to 50 customers a day kind of mark, and they're having trouble scaling. They're like, oh, but I need like phone sales to get more profitable, so they're going to pay more to acquire the customer. They're almost stuck in that like limbo mode. It's like, yeah, but there's probably a offer problem to solve for if you're not getting that 50 to 100 kind of threshold right consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I like what you said though.
traffic,
Is like that is a reasonable number to go out and call. Because one, you might not be able to get not scam likely. So maybe your answer rates are going to be lower if you're calling. But if you have 10, 30 people, get members of your team to give them a call. See what happens. Start having a conversation, because that's where you could improve your conversions too. You start to learn more the language of your buyers. And you might see like, wow, they all say this word when they describe this problem. We don't even have that on our sales page. That's not even in our VSL. Or you start getting testimonials that are real, organic, and amazing. Now you got to put that into your offer. So I really love what you said, that it doesn't matter. You could have 10 abandoned carts a day, 5 abandoned carts a day. Call them. Yeah. Just start calling. Like,
subscription recovery too. I should have brought that up. So your partials, like abandoned carts, declines, and then your subscriptions that decline. So like if you have someone on subscription for the past 6 months,
card expires or something,
and their card expires or something, what are you doing with those? Right? Like you should be calling those as well. I know a lot of my friends have people in-house that call those subscription recoveries that drop off because they get like 10% a day of just drop off.
It's a real value add, right? Because it's like, hey, I'll make sure you get the thing you like. You've been getting it for the last 6 months, right?
Yeah. Well, and oftentimes too, like it's funny. It's just side of mind. Like, who here has recently lost a card? I'll put that guy out there. And then all of a sudden you find out like all the things you were subscribing to, but you normally find out because it's missing. And sometimes that could take a long time depending on the product. And so just because it's not that you don't want it, but there's a lot of things going on in the world. You might even forget that you had subscribed. And by not calling on those subscription people, what you're really doing is inviting them to go somewhere else. Because now, oh man, I didn't think about that. Well, I guess maybe I didn't need it. Maybe I should look into other alternatives. Not what you want your customer to do. You'd like to be on the forefront leading that and then making it really easy. Because I will tell you, there have been some things I ended subscriptions on because it felt like I didn't want to have to go and update the card again. I know it sounds dumb and lazy, and it is. It's dumb and lazy, and I don't care. I'm a dumb, lazy consumer. So please just like make it easier for me. You treat me like I'm a dumb, lazy consumer. I love it. I love being treated dumb and lazy by companies.
Oh, no. Sorry, this is going on a bit of a tangent, but Nordic Naturals, they do like a whole bunch of omega-3 supplements and things like that. Like it's all email-based, so not phone. It's a total different conversation here, but they're like...
Thanks, Thomas. We're talking about phone sales.
Yeah, maybe they should do phone sales. They're probably not listening.
They probably should, yeah. Hey, Nordic.
Yeah, Nordic.
Hit us up.
Nordic Naturals. We got something for you.
Their pre-rebill emails are so good. Like you can, hey, free gift, add this to your order. And it's just like a bunch of samples and stuff. Just click and it adds it to your rebill, right? It's like, do you want to add anything else to it, right? Click. Yeah, I want to double the size of it kind of thing.
That's smart.
And then they're doing... even like, hey, you just got your rebill order out. Like, if you have too much, you can pause, right? They're getting ahead of maybe you didn't consume 120 capsules of omega-3 fish oil in 3 months, right? So they're kind of like getting in front of that. It was like, wow, this is the best e-com, like just subscription management I've seen in an email environment.
Yeah.
It's all just click-based.
Yeah. And imagine if you ignored all those emails.
Which I did, but
I was going to say.
It was still very good.
As I look at my 20,000 unread emails, I'm like, it might be me.
Yeah.
A phone call, if I picked up, it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
But even if it was a voicemail, someone calling and giving me an option to call back, so then I could read that voicemail eventually.
Right.
I'm thinking how many of unread voicemails I have, but that would be such a great option. I just really like it. It's again like when we make it easy and personalized, instead of being mad at our customers for not doing what we want them to, maybe we should just make it easier for them to do it. And I really love that you have that mentality that you don't have to wait, do it now, but when you're ready to go big, either create your own or go with the team that's already doing it. Which actually transitioned me to kind of the other question is, I know this is obviously just like it's hitting you up with a softball, but like, when you're looking at it and if you put yourself in entrepreneurship, what is the difference between creating your own team, your own phone sales team that's in house, and going with something like Salesbound? Because I imagine there's going to be some pretty distinct differences between those two routes.
Yeah, there's big differences. I think the biggest difference is if you're doing it in house, you're basically starting a business within a business. So running a sales team, a phone sales team, is very complex, and there's a lot. What?
No, I'm just laughing because I've been thinking about this a lot. It's just yeah, it's a lot of potential there. Man, I don't want to do that. Like,
yeah. I think that is a very true statement. Yeah. Wow, that sounds really cool. Who could do it for me?
Yeah.
You're looking at your one operations person, like, do you think you could do all this? And they don't want to, I'm sure. But no.
I did a talk once at Mimosa.
Yeah.
That one year, I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, you wore the red suit.
Yeah.
It's nice, the burgundy.
Yeah. And I literally broke down how to do it,
Yeah.
how to start your call center, how to have it in-house. And I remember when I stepped off the stage, or like whenever it was networking time, everyone was like, can you just do it for me?
Yeah. It's the best way to sell any service.
It makes sense because there's a lot of things behind it. So
It's a lot of staff.
the biggest thing to bring up is staff, cost. Honestly, the money that you think that you're saving by not paying, like salesbound, that commission, that money is
probably
it's going to be the
right?
same thing
Yeah.
for how much you're operating the business.
Yeah.
And then another aspect is the pitch, the sale. Like that's our what's the word? That's our
It's your bread and butter. It's
bread
your-
and butter
yeah.
at Salesbound, like
you-
how we frame and position the phone calls. And to figure it out on your own is very difficult. Like whenever I brought up on the intro, like my past and my experience, what we're doing at Salesbound now with how we're pitching came from like all these lessons of all what I've learned from sales here and sales here and sales here, like all of these places. So you can do $50,000 a month for yourself, for example. Like you could do $50,000 a month in phone sales, but that same offer could use us and we could do like $1 million a month for them or $800,000 a month for them just because of how our pitch is structured. But then also the costs and the infrastructure and all that.
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of people are thinking about, I just go do this myself. Realize that most enterprises think of phone anything as it's a cost center. It drives no revenue or not enough to justify the cost in most large organizations. So
Right.
it like you said, there's a lot of their staff, the logistics of having outbound, like scaled outbound calls is not cheap. Right. So and then like you said, that's before you even figure out how to do it. Like you're gonna be in the red substantially before you even know if you could figure it out. Like that's not a great position to be in. So I tell, especially unless you're just really passionate about building out your own sales team or a masochist or you hate all your own money, Salesbound seems to make like a much better solution. Especially again, like I just want to go back to this number because I still think this is the coolest number. Whatever your AOV is right now, imagine if it was 50% higher and that 50% was going straight to your bottom line. I think a lot of people would be pretty excited about that. I think they would say, here, take whatever, let's do it all. So just to go back to Salesbound, which circles back here, we'll finish with some other questions and comments, but I think one of the big things is like people are sitting here, okay, I want it. How do they get a hold of you? How can they reach out, talk to you or talk to a member of Salesbound to get this set up and start in their business?
Yeah, our website's the best place, salesboundsolutions.com.
Perfect.
And that is the best place to get a hold of us. Just say that you found me on, or found us and Salesbound on this wonderful podcast, and
Affiliated. The potato.
Oh, man.
and
I just realized I just made a GIF for Dylan later. Like that's going to end up. Yep. Okay.
that'd be the best place.
Okay, perfect. That's amazing. So, well, and with that again, like I just want to say, like this is really appreciate your time. Well, I don't know if you have any other questions. I'm just burning inside because I'm just like, what a brilliant way to start changing your business. If you're not doing phone sales, you're not doing it through these welcome calls, like you said, cart abandons, decline, subscriptions. If you're not doing something to engage your customers you already have, you are just missing out on so much additional dollars in your business. It is like, I almost feel like not doing phone sales is probably the dumbest thing you could do to your business, especially given the current climate. So we really appreciate you just sharing all that. And I just want to like shake all the entrepreneurs out there. Phone sales, like go and do it, put it in your business. It's going to make things so much better. But Thomas, any other questions?
No, I think I really appreciate you going through some of the low-hanging fruit wins that people can be doing, some of the misconceptions people have. I think it's a lot of people have misconceptions, maybe not even misconceptions, right? There's just a perception out there of what phone sales is, Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room, all those buzzwords, right?
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that way, and you can add a lot of value to your customers and do it. No, we have a lot of mutual friends that love and trust you with their business and what you do there. So, yeah, I trust some good people find you through this and reach out. It was salesboundsolutions.com, right?
We'll make sure that it's in the show notes in the description so you could find that. And
I'd say, don't hesitate to reach out to affiliated@clickbank.com with any questions, or if you want a direct intro to Aria, I'd happy to do it through there.
Yeah.
So you reach out that way. And
Anything else for the people before you go? And then we'll do.
yeah, we always like to ask: is there anything like you're looking for?
Yeah.
That other than clients. Yeah.
What am I looking for?
Like, is there like as you're hiring roles? Are you looking for any like referrals, recommendations for different things? Coffee recommendations, could be anything. Yeah, supplements you need to try.
New burgundy
honestly-
suits.
Yeah,
Yeah, right now, it's less of what we're looking for and more of optimizing what we have.
Yeah.
At Salesbound.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when people are like, "Hey, you know, what's new?" Like more of the same, and that's kind of where we're at with Salesbound. Is we kind of got a lot of it figured out. And we never have everything figured out, right? Like as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as anyone, like you never have it all figured out. But if something's really working, then our biggest avenue is
deeper with it, right?
just keep going deeper with it.
I think you've been
And that's
smart
where we're
to not chase. I knew you've been turning down a few different things you could have sponsored or speaking at, kind of like to generate
Oh,
more leads.
so much, yeah.
And just like you're like, let's. We had a lot of leads coming in already, right? Let's let's keep
Yeah.
going that way. So I think
Let's
you've been smart
focus.
to like really
Yeah.
scale that way. Yeah.
Which continues to make us really appreciate your time. And
Yeah.
so really, I think this is, again, super valuable, really, really fun. And I also love talking about call center stuff because that's just one of my favorite things. But with that, we are going to be, its time is over. We will finish our coffee and enjoy the rest of our evening. We hope that you guys enjoyed as well. Until next time, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, the email at affiliated at something. I already forgot what it was. Thomas said it earlier.
The brand we work for.
Rehearsed it.
The company that puts on this podcast.
Where am I? I just realized Thomas wears glasses today. No. But with that, have a great one. And what do we tell the people, Thomas?
Happy scaling.
Beautiful. Till next time.